So real quick, before you did that, and your origin story, like how did you get into?
Is that he made an age joke the last time we were? I'm gonna use that Kuka.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Talk with Randy Stedwell. We just tried out this intro that came in, so let me know what you think in the comments. So who we have for episode 9 is Terry Penny. Honestly, I've seen her at all the meetups and I've looked up to her as well. I see a lot of stuff that she puts out. So I'm very, very excited and very happy to have her on this show. There's probably nothing that if it's real estate related, she's probably done it or getting into it. So with that being said, if you have questions throughout this podcast, please put them in the chat. We will answer them as we go. You'll get my opinion on it, and as well as probably most importantly, you'll get her response to it. So again, put them in the chat here, whether you're on YouTube or you're on our Facebook channel. All right. Try to go to our YouTube so we can get the algorithm more going in that direction. And I can actually post your name in here. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to say your name when you have questions. With that being said, welcome Terry Penny. How you doing?
Hey, Randy. How you doing?
Awesome. So I'm very excited to have you on the show. All right. I know you've seen some of the shows that we've had, and I'm very happy that you agree with it to be able to come on and share your experience with this. So
good to be here. Glad you've had some great shows. I watched a few of them. So.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. You're a very busy woman, so I understand that, and today we reaccommodated for being on Thursday. I want to apologize, everybody, that this is normally on a Monday night at 8 p.m. We're doing it Thursday because I had some personal stuff happen. I don't want to get into exactly what it was, but either way, everything's taken care of, everyone's safe, no problem. So, with that being said, thank you, Terry Penny, for having, for accommodating the change and everything like that. And what's actually really cool is your name is actually my mother's name. So Terry. Yeah. Okay. So, that's really cool.
Be a lovely woman.
She is. She's a very lovely woman. Very lovely woman. Yeah. So, anyways, tell me a little bit about your how you got started and how you got into real estate in general.
Okay, we gotta go back more than 30 years. I got my real estate license in 1992. So it's been 31 years. I started with Real Estate One. I'm currently with EXP.
Okay.
And update, I just passed the broker's exam on Tuesday. So I am now a broker. And the reason for doing that, just to fast forward, thank you, is I'm opening a property management company. So I've been managing my own properties for 30 years, and I'm partnering with my contractor who's also been in construction for 30 years. So, right. But to answer your question, yeah, I got started as a realtor in 92. My first year, so it was so different back then because I was at like a 45% commission, and MLS was literally a book that someone had. We didn't have the internet back then, right? So
right.
We had to come into the office and actually look through a book of all the listings and everything. And we would submit our offers standing at the fax machine. So, so I think I lost more money than I made my first year. And then I got into learning about investing. And
Okay.
that's when it changed really everything. I wasn't a very good realtor. I'm
Right.
not a good realtor now, 30 years later, because off market is my comfort zone. I have access to the MLS,
Hmm.
but I really don't do anything with it other than checking comps, doing CMAs, doing research for my own investing or for wholesaling.
Got
So
it.
I've been wholesaling for over 30 years, but off market's my comfort zone, even though I'm licensed.
Got it. So that's another reason why I like bringing you on and why I follow you is because you're a fellow wholesaler. So, first off, it's really cool on that. And so when you got into real estate, you started as as a agent, you said,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And
I was 23.
you were
Mm-hmm.
23.
Yeah.
Okay. And you weren't really that great of an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think I
So
pre-qualified anyone before I start showing them houses. I think that was my first mistake.
yeah, okay, yeah. How did how did going from being an agent to wholesaling or the next step that you did?
So I realized once I started learning about investing how different the realtor world was from the investor world.
Okay.
So in the 90s, so my husband stayed up a lot later than I did, and he was watching the late night
Hmm.
infomercials that came on. And I don't know if anyone's listening is old enough to remember the late night infomercials that came on at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was this guy with a mustache in Florida that was talking about fixing up houses and increasing the value and, making rents. And it all made sense. And so my husband was like, you got to watch this because you already know something about real estate. So,
Yeah.
this all makes sense to me. And so we were, so, fast forward, I understand the
Yeah.
seminar circuit now because we
Yep.
end up working for the company. But back then, they have the free seminar, not
Yep.
webinar. Was no webinars. It was
There's
a
no,
seminar. You actually had to show up in person,
yep.
right? And
Yep.
so there was the free seminar, and then they sold you on the 3-day weekend, right? I mean, this is the
Hmm.
same stuff that's been going on for
Yeah.
decades, right? I mean,
It's still going on.
some of the courses I bought was from Carlton Sheets, if anyone remembers that name.
Okay.
So the no money down stuff. So I'm really dating myself, but it was so different back then.
Hmm.
So, anyways, we showed up. We did the 3-day. When they did the 3-day, and that just taught you just enough to be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so then they sold you on the bigger packages and so forth. So we spent over $30,000 for our education package, but it was worth every penny. And I always,
Okay.
even the people that I mentor now, I tell them, you're either going to pay for your education now, or you're going to pay for it later in lawsuits or damages or losses because you didn't
Yeah.
understand how to analyze the property,
Yep.
and you're going to lose money on. And then of course this real estate thing doesn't work because it didn't work for you because you didn't get your education before you got into this business.
Exactly.
But anyway, so I understand the value of education, and so we had no problem spending the money. And we were taking boot camps, which means you actually got on a plane and traveled to Georgia and Texas and Florida,
Mm.
and where they held the boot camps.
Yep.
But it was 3 or 4 days of nothing but information about just that subject, whether it was, foreclosures or um, um, the rentals or, lease options or anything that you wanted to learn about. But so we went through this intense training. But I really felt like, I had a PhD in real estate when we were done. And then when we went through all the classes and when you got all the education and everything, we were assigned a mentor and stuff. we had made a goal to buy 10 rentals by the end of that year. And that was, I think, February. So we had less than a year to accomplish our goal. And so the reason for our goal was because at the time, I've always been self-employed. I've been self-employed since I was 19. So I've never been into the W-2 world. I'm not that I've always been, I wouldn't be a very good employee. But anyways, I've always been self-motivated. I've been on my own since I back up a little bit. I graduated at 17. I graduated from business school at 18, self-employed at 19, a self-motivator, had to. Right.
Yep.
So anyways, my husband was working as a corrections officer for a maximum security psychiatric prison. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
And so our goal was to accumulate enough rentals so that the cash flow, the total cash flow, would substitute his salary at the prison.
Yep.
And then we would be financially independent, basically off of our rentals, and he could quit his job. That was our goal. And our goal was to have it accomplished by the end of the year. So with the organization that we were with, was Russ Whitney. Again, if anyone's old enough to remember Russ Whitney, that was the guy on the infomercial with the mustache. But we're still friends today. But anyways, we went through all the intense training and everything. And in the organization, it was important to set goals. And so we set our goals. And at the end of the year, we accomplished 9 rentals. We didn't accomplish 10, but we did get 9 by the end of the year. So because of that, so Russ's Whitney Education, they were the largest real estate education company in the world. They were in 7 different countries.
Okay.
They were bringing in 60,000 new students a month, right? So over 700,000 new students a month. They would choose 5 people to put into the Hall of Fame based on and so forth. So my husband and I counted as one of those 5. Right, because we were a couple.
That's awesome.
And so we made Hall of Fame based on our accomplishments and everything. And so that kind of, in such a large organization, kind of put us in a real good position because that's where Russ hired his trainers.
Okay.
Was from his Hall of Famers, right? Because you can't expect someone to teach you how to be successful if they haven't been successful themselves.
That is
right?
correct. Yes.
If you haven't successfully done a lease option from point A to point Z, you can't tell me how to do it. If you haven't made $1 million, you can't teach me how to do it. Yep. Right. So it's important that who you give your money to teach you something has actually been there, done that, and not just a couple times. Right. So, because every deal is going to be different and you got to know how to get through the obstacles.
Exactly.
So anyways, so we went on to be mentors for his company, and did that for about 7 years or so. Our children were young, so I was doing more of the phone mentoring and at that point we were having emails and stuff, which was dial up. Right. I mean, so, but my husband actually traveled, and he'd spend, about 4 days with the student in their own backyard, driving for dollars, getting their power team set up, actually putting in offers, sometimes actually got an accepted offer before he flew out of town. So it was very, very valuable training. And that's how, like, since 2001, I've been mentoring people as well, based on that same, education based, which I don't know, nowadays it kind of seems to be a little watered down and stuff, and everybody's a guru because they've done a few deals, right? So anyways, I just make sure people, mentoring is not only what I do and stuff, but I like to help people get started. I'm real big on learning different strategies, because when I approach a seller, I've already analyzed the property 4 or 5 different ways.
Yeah.
And so when I get to the seller, I'm going to present them with 3 or 4 different offers, let them make the decision of what works for them, so
Yep.
that they feel like they're more in control and not being taken advantage of, which I already know every one of these that I'm presenting is going to work for me one way or another. Right.
Right.
But like, for example, if you don't know subject to, you might be passing up some deals because all you know is wholesaling. So
Mhm.
that low ball cash offer isn't going to work for your seller. And because of your lack of knowledge, you can't take that deal down, where I'm going to come in behind you and really dig into what the seller's issue is so I can solve their problem. Because
Yeah.
that's what this is mostly about. It's good when you can make money at the same time, but it's not solving the seller's problems.
Most definitely. And real quick, I just want to interject here. You hear everyone out there, you hear talking about all these different options, subject to, lease option, things of that nature. Keep those in your mind, and any questions that you have about those, please go ahead and put them in the chat. And as we talk about them, we'll get to your question and we'll be able to answer them. So mainly from her perspective, since she's done them. So, with that being said, I 100% agree with you. I'm here to try to help as many people as I can, but I don't pretend that I have 10 years experience in this. I don't. I'm very upfront and honest with the experience that I do have. And if you're looking just to get started and run the numbers, things like that, by all means, I'm an open book. So, but I think there's a huge, tremendous value in paying for a course, because you're taking all of the mistakes that they went through and said, hey, don't do this, do that, so on and so forth. Go into this trajectory if you want to hit that. Now, if you don't follow, that's on you. But at least they're giving you a guideline, and you're paying for that. You're paying for the mentorship. You're paying for the course, and so on and so forth. So I really appreciate that. Just want to interject that a little bit here, but go ahead and continue on. Sorry.
Yeah, they could be costly mistakes.
Oh yeah.
Could get you sued.
Oh yeah.
You got to know what you're doing.
No one wants to be sued. Okay.
Right.
So I've never been sued. That I'm going to knock on wood because of that. Because you can be sued for frivolous things, and it could just cost you a tremendous amount of money for being sued. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to go unscathed after you've been in this business for a while, even if it's frivolous, right or wrong. You're going to end up in court, whether you're a defendant or a plaintiff, landlord, tenant. I mean, it all kinds of things. It's a litigious society, and we're in real estate, which is very contract law heavy.
100%. I agree with you on that. So
one thing I wanted to get into that, so a lot of people ask me how we accumulated so many properties so quickly.
Yep.
We were doing the Burr method before it had that little catchy little name.
Okay.
Right. So
before it was a thing.
right. I mean, that's cool. So, but that's what we were doing. If you follow that, you understand it's buy, right, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Correct. And rejoice, right? Add another R in there. But we were doing that exclusively using a hard money lender. So the reason we were able to move so quickly, now keep in mind, again, this is in the 90s. Interest rates were double digits. So because the interest rates are high right now, the sky is not falling. I try to let the newbies know you have not seen a buyer's market. You've not seen high interest rates. We've been spoiled, right? The sky's not falling because we went to 6% now, right? It was 9-10%. I saw land contracts at 14-16%. So anyways, our hard money lender, who we used exclusively, was lending 65% of the ARV, 10 points and 18% interest with a 6-month balloon. And we used them all day long. Now,
10 points?
Yes, 10 points. Now, here's the differences. Here's the differences from today. Back then, we were buying mostly bank-owned properties.
Okay.
And that's before the banks became investors.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you see bank-owned properties that are being fixed up and rent.
Yep.
Back then, they just had to get them off their books.
Yeah.
Right. We bought a house for $6,000 that had more than the $6,000 water bill at the closing. I was like, so the bank lost money, but they got them off their books because after the banks in their mortgage department, they have too many non-producing assets. That department can be, they do their audits and stuff. They can suppress their lending ability.
Yes.
In their mortgage department, and because they have too many non-producing assets, so they needed to get them off the books so they could keep lending. They didn't care if they took a loss, right? They could keep lending. Now, they're real estate investors and everything, and so it makes it a little bit harder to make a profit off of bank-owned properties, REOs, right? But that's what we were buying almost exclusively, or buying other rentals from other investors. Mm-hmm. So using the hard money lender, even though that those were the terms, we were still making it work because we had a crew, we got them in there. They were not major rehabs. So they were quick flips. And so we were getting them fixed up, and we would, in the neighborhood, now most of our properties were Inkster, Westland, Romulus, mm-hmm. right? Taylor, I think. But in that area. And so, neighborhoods, while you're working on them, it attracts a lot of attention. And so a lot of would-be tenants would inquire. So we left business cards at the door, with our contractor. We left sign in the yard and everything like that. So most of the time we had it rented before it was even done. Yep. Right? It was before it was even completed. And so we were able to refinance the property without having to wait that 6-month seasoning period, mm-hmm. because we were only refinancing for rate and term, which means now the property is worth, I forgot what we were buying them at, $50,000. Now it's worth $100,000, right? And so we can refinance it as long as we're not trying to put any cash in our pocket at the closing. Mm-hmm. That's when you need the seasoning period. Even to this day, the lenders want you to wait 6 months or longer sometimes before you put cash in your pocket. So if we came in with our own cash, mm-hmm. and we tried doing the Burr method, we would have to wait 6 months to pull our cash back out. By using the hard money lender, we were able to move faster. So mm-hmm. that high interest rate didn't matter that much because we only used it for a few months. Got it. If it was long term, that 18% would have ate us alive. So we went from 18% to refinance it down to, I don't know, what we were 8% or something like that. I mean,
whatever they were at.
Prison. It was a state facility, had a good job. So the lenders loved them. So anyways, we were able to refinance. I think we were at 8%. So now we're cash flowing, mm-hmm. right? Not as much as we would at 3 or 4%, but we were still making it work. So we were doing that all day long and just in and out of this hard money loan. And then our hard money lender would, believe it or not, would even roll in those 10 points. As mm-hmm. long as it fit within that 65%, which we always made sure it did. Yep. But which wasn't smart. Now we're paying 18% on 10 points. Yeah. Right. But because we knew it was all very short term, and they weren't large loans, they might have been 50 or 70,000. Right. So that's why we were able to move so quickly, and we were able to get so many properties.
And that's the difference between back in the 90s versus now. Is the price points were not what they are now. Yeah. Doing that now at that interest rate, would bankrupt somebody, but back then, keep in mind, rents were lower too. Yeah. So, you got the give and take as well. But so on average, what kind of rehab did you guys do? Was it a medium-sized rehab on most properties? Was it a full gut? No,
we never got into anything major because we knew when you've got a hard money loan at 18% interest, you got to move fast. Yeah. Right. So we were mostly paint, carpet, kitchen, bathroom.
Got it. Okay.
Nothing structural, no roofs, no, so
Yep.
we made sure we were in and out quick.
Awesome. So with that being said, there's obviously following that exactly is a little bit different nowadays than it was then, but the same type of procedure still works.
Yeah.
You getting a hard money loan if you don't want to wait that seasoning period, which now on I think it's Fannie or Freddie, if you're going conventional, now they changed it from 6 months to a year for the seasoning period.
For cash out.
Yes, for
If you
cash
want to
out.
pull your cash out. See, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying. So we
Yeah.
thought about, do we use our own cash or do we use a hard money lender?
Yep.
And the difference is, yeah, we're going to save money and points and payments and stuff, but waiting that 6 months and tying our money up, we wouldn't be able to move as fast. So that's why we went with a hard money lender.
So, and this is where I want to let people know that if you're doing this, if you pull out the money for just the terms and to pay off the loan, most banks don't care about the seasoning period. And that's where you were getting, and that's how you were able to move so fast.
We just wanted to go from 18% to 8% or whatever it was and start cash flowing because it was rented at that point, because it has to be rented. Yep. And then
because you have to show your income. You have to show the income for that property.
Right. Right. Now things are different now because now they want to see income on that property for a year, or you have to qualify with your income to qualify for the payment. Right. So it's a little bit different, but I mean, if if your income's there, like from other properties or whatever, and you can show it, then, that's not an obstacle.
That's awesome. So you got into working, with your husband to get these rental properties, and your goal was 10 within the first year, and you end up doing 9. Okay. Now, obviously, because you came up short for one property, did he still end up quitting his job?
Yeah. Once the net income accumulated from all of our rentals matched his salary, that's when he quit.
That's awesome.
And that was in 2000.
That was in 2000. Okay. So that is crazy, because going from there, doing that in a year, that is a huge task. I still work my day job, but I also like my day job too. So that's a huge difference. That's a big difference. So
my husband said he literally felt like he went to prison every day. The difference is he got to come home at night.
Exactly.
It was stressful. So
So I have the same rule, but mine is I have to match 125% of my income.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say 125% is because you got 401k you're putting into, you got your benefits, and you got all of this other stuff that you're putting into that makes a W-2 worth it. Yeah. In my opinion, that's about 25%, give or take, so that's kind of where I put that.
Plus you got to figure too, what if
emergency costs,
a tenant or two doesn't pay.
Exactly.
Right. You never want to be at the mercy of rent collection to pay your mortgage.
Exactly.
So you want to have a little bit of a cushion.
So with that being said, where are you at right now with your rentals? So your first year you got 9, and that was back in 2000.
We had, fast forward to 2003, we had 30. I was thinking about this earlier and I was trying to remember the exact number. I think it was 37. We had a 5-unit building and a 5-unit commercial building in Romulus, and the rest were single family homes.
Okay.
And in 2003, we decided to get the heck out of Michigan and move to a warmer climate. We moved to, how much warmer can you get than Arizona. And so this is another thing that we experienced. This is a lease option story. I had never been to Arizona, but we just know we knew we wanted to get to a warmer climate. And since my husband basically flew to work, we could live anywhere as long as it was near an airport.
Yep.
And so one of the other mentors that worked for the company moved from Ohio to Arizona and said, "Oh, you're going to love it here and everything." So we said, "Hey, find us a lease option. I've never been there, but I want to kick the tires." So the benefits of selling on lease option, right? There's a lot of benefits there.
Huge.
There's also benefits on buying on lease option. So in our situation, I had never been to Arizona, but we did a 2-year lease option. So this way, if I hated it, there was no obligation to buy. We could just
up and leave.
We didn't have anything else. So it was a good option for us. So that's what we did. And I loved Arizona. So we ended up staying 8.5 years. We were in a $1.5 million property on an acre with a 8-car garage and a pool with a grotto. And I really thought that we were going to stay there like forever. Real estate market was nothing like it is here. We didn't do a lot in real estate, didn't hold any rentals because nothing cash flowed. And this area that we were in was fastest growing city, neck and neck with Cape Coral at the time, and Cape Coral, Florida. So anyways, everything was new. Everything was built up and new freeways were going in. So there wasn't a lot of rehab opportunities like there is, in Detroit or, this older house, the 20s, 30s, 40s that we can rehab and increase the value. There wasn't a lot of that there, and people were depending on their appreciation and depreciation, where, I'm from Metro Detroit. I need to get paid every month or else I'm not getting into it. Right.
Yep.
So didn't hold a lot of rentals or anything. We did mostly business financing, corporate structuring and stuff like that, but as well as the mentorship. But anyways, so the lease option worked for us. So we refinanced and everything. And then fast forward to 2011, we decided to come back to Michigan because family is more important than paradise. So, but you know what? I'm glad to be back because this is home. This is where I'm from. I grew up in Belleville, and this is where our family's at. The real estate market's better.
Spring, summer, and fall. Happy to be here. Winter, I wish I could be somewhere else.
You see, in Arizona, we didn't get the 4 seasons. We got rain like 4 times a year, and and obviously no snow. But it was either winter, like in the middle of the winter, Christmas season, it was like 65 degrees, which is beautiful.
Yep.
But it's like it's only hot or hotter. We're out here. I love the fall. I love the 4 seasons and stuff. So Michigan is home.
That's good. So with that, when you moved out to Arizona, you still had all your rentals here, correct?
No. So that's, I have some regrets when we're hitting a touchy subject here. So in 2003, when we knew we were moving, the property management companies were just, the horror stories about, there were really no good property management companies that we knew of, right? So we didn't want to worry about that stuff halfway across the country.
Right.
And so we sold everything and we liquidated. Now, this was before the crash.
Yep. Okay.
So the good part about this is that we didn't lose anything during the crash. So we didn't get hit like a lot of people did because we sold a few years, 5 years before. So, that was, some of them we held for less than a year. So, we had that capital gains penalty that we had to answer to and stuff. So, like I said, some regrets. And then I'm thinking too, like here I am 30 years later, they would have all been paid for, I've been sitting on them. But, hey, I got them once, I can get them again.
Yes.
Fast forwarding the long-term rentals that I did have, in 2017, I changed it to short-term rentals and got
Okay.
into the Airbnb business.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing that since 2017. I've had 13 of those.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
yep, kind of. I've been super host since the day I jumped on. So this is something I really, really enjoy. And being in the account in the hospitality business is
Yeah.
different than being a long-term landlord.
Yeah. So I did an episode with Nick Bastinelli, and he is a short-term rental guy, but he's also a real estate agent, and he developed a lot of these automation systems to deal with the short-term rentals, where he basically doesn't have anything to do. You know, yeah, it's crazy.
See, that's where I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because everything now, like when I do my mentorships or my coaching, it's like one-on-one, let's do a Zoom call,
Yeah.
let's get on the phone call or whatever. And I can teach you strategies, I can teach you, contracts and everything else. But I'm keep in mind, when I started, there was no internet.
Yeah.
So we I'm pen and paper,
Yep.
and I can appreciate when I do business with other veteran investors that have been doing
Yep.
this, 20, 25, 30 years, because we're all analog.
Yes.
And all this new technology and stuff. I don't know about anybody else my age, but I'm having a hard time keeping up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, everything's automated, and he's
Yep.
got this and this and this. I don't have a team. I work solo.
Yeah.
I have a cleaner for my short-term rentals. That's as far as it gets.
Yep.
Right. And then my son and I serve papers together. I'm a process server. I've been doing that since I was 19. And I used to serve papers when I was pregnant with him. And now 26 years later, I just served somebody at 6:30 tonight.
Wow.
Yeah. So, other than that, I don't have a team. I kind of do everything myself. So I've kind of learned how to do things, pen and paper.
Yeah.
I taught myself spreadsheets. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
bad it gets, right?
Yeah.
But I can email. I do okay. I
Yeah.
do okay. But this new technology and stuff is something that I really lack.
Yeah. So
And
I
I don't
think
know.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think to take your short-term rentals to the next level, watch that episode. If you want to get a hold of him, get a hold of him, because
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, because what he does is he takes 4 booking, they go into one calendar, so that none of them can be double booked.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but he also has on that calendar, like every time somebody leaves, it's automatically it's on a lockbox where, and then he has backups, redundancies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at least with the electronic lockbox, they are only given that code and it's only good for that certain amount of time.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. No, now that you can program all that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was going to do that, but I'm there all the time anyways. I'm very hands-on. So I'm there, before people check it. So I just manually check it. But I did there's a little Wi-Fi adapter you have to buy to do that and change the code remotely. You can unlock the door and everything, but I'm close to my places. So
so there was
it,
honestly, I think it would be really good for you to watch or even read.
I will.
But because a lot of his short-term rentals are actually on the other side of the state, and he lives over here. So
I make a rule to stay within 20 minutes away from my places.
Got it.
I've shut down some would-be parties, so I like to get there.
So I think that was the reason why he forced himself to go fully remote on that, because of that. He didn't want to be a hands-on, so. Yeah. But anyways, we're kind of digressing here. So the short-term rentals, you're getting into those. Okay. You're getting into
I've been doing short-term rentals since 2017. So
17. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And Are you still buying properties at the moment, or are you just wholesaling? Like, how did you get into wholesaling?
So wholesaling is where I started.
Oh,
It's
okay.
where a lot of people start.
Yeah.
But what I like, and I believe everyone should learn wholesaling, whether you want to wholesale or not, is because, if you're even on the MLS and you're looking for
Yeah.
something, and you find something that might be, a decent deal. There's some
Yeah.
deals on the MLS.
Oh, yeah.
And you put in 3 offers and 2 of them get accepted, for example.
Yeah.
But you only have the cash to buy one. You're going to cherry pick which one you want to buy. What are you going to do with the other one? Walk away from it? No, it's still a decent deal. Wholesale it, lock it up under contract and assign the contract, right? You're still going to close on the one you're going to close on, but why walk away from money? Right? That might be $5,000 or $10,000 you can make off it because you've already negotiated. You've analyzed it, you negotiated it, you got a good deal there, but you can't act on it. Find someone else who can. So even if you're not a wholesaler, if you're actively buying, that should always be something that you should know how to do.
100%. I agree with you. Wholesaling, in my opinion, and it is for me, it's a gateway into real estate, and it's a way to see how it's a way to get into real estate, get into the business, and see what direction you want to go. Okay. Yeah. See whether you want to do buy and holds, whether you want to do fix and flips, whether you want to do lease options, sub to whatever, or all of the above.
So wholesaling and flipping is like working paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
Right. When you stop hustling, the money stops.
Yep.
Right. And it's a hustle. It's a hustle. The flips are bigger paydays, but they're farther in between. And then wholesaling, it is what you put into it. Right. I mean, a lot of new wholesalers don't, this doesn't help new wholesalers, but all of my deals come from referral.
Yep.
I don't market for to get my deals. I'll market to sell them, to get them, but all my deals come to me by referral. That's just because, hey, I've done the bandit signs, I've done the direct mailings, I've done the door knocking, the driving for dollars, and I've never done cold calling.
Okay.
I've never done cold calling or buy leads. I've never bought leads. I never bought leads until I got my life insurance license. Okay. Right. I've always been taught to bring advertise and bring the people to me. So the bandit signs and right. So I still have my Penny Buys Houses magnetic signs that we had on our truck back in the 90s. I still have them. But anyways, the long-term wealth or the passive income comes with your rentals. Because once you do the work, you accumulate, your rentals, and then the money comes in every month. Hopefully, where you shouldn't have to do maintenance on a house every single month, but it's a lot easier than hustling for that next deal repeatedly, month after month after month after month. But you've got to do what you got to do to get to that point. So if you're wholesaling to flip and then flipping to hold, right, using the same money, you wholesale enough properties, you can buy a flip, right? You've got $50,000 or $60,000 accumulated from your wholesaling deals. You can buy a cheap flip. You might turn that into 85 or 90 or 100,000. Use that 100,000 to buy your next flip or so forth, but you're still wholesaling, right? Now you've got some cash so you can cherry pick those wholesale deals, what might work for you. Wholesale the rest. But now you'd be like, oh, that's in my neighborhood. That's in my area. That's a quick flip. That's only a $10,000 or $15,000. I can do that quick. The rents are good and so forth. So, and then wholesale the rest, right? Instead of stepping over them, right? Don't step over $1 to pick up a dime. But, at the same time, it's good to know, have knowledge about all of your possibilities so that you don't have to turn down any opportunities.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. And I think that, getting to know all of these different ways to do things,
Different strategies.
different
Yeah.
strategies. Like
Yeah.
it just makes you a better investor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go to a seller, and like I said, I'll analyze the properties, analyze 4 ways always, right? So lowball cash offer, right? Here's my number.
Yep.
If you'll entertain a lease option or a
Mm-hmm.
land contract
Yep.
or a subject to,
Yep.
right? They can't do a lowball cash offer if they don't have the equity.
Right.
Just their hands are tied. They can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not always a distressed property. Sometimes it's a distressed situation.
Yes.
Right. They got into a property. They can't afford the payments anymore. They didn't want to go into foreclosure. Well, guess what? I'll come in. I'll just take over your payments.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm but now you have to analyze that, because what are your options at that point? Again, there's no equity. So you can't flip that property.
Yeah.
Your only option is to hold that as a rental.
Yep.
Can you do that? Is there structural damage? Is there, $50,000 worth of deferred maintenance that, or work that has to be done? There's a roof caving in. That's not something just because the opportunity of subject to deal is there that you have to jump on it. You still have to analyze it and know what you're doing.
Yep.
Right. But all those, almost every contract is assignable. So whether you got a subject to or a lease option or a land contract, you can assign those to another buyer for a fee if you don't want to stay in the deal, but you have to analyze that deal as if you are.
Yes.
Because other investors are not suckers, right? They're going to analyze it. So you have to present a good deal to them if you plan on, being a wholesaler that's worth a damn. Right.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're doing. I've even partnered with my sellers. Right. Mm-hmm. So if the sellers, see, for example, they want $100,000 for the property and it needs $50,000 in work, say the ARV is $200,000. So I'm not including soft costs or commissions or anything like that. So say, for example, I only have $50,000 in cash. I don't have $150,000 to pay them $100 and then put $50 into it. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's partner, add me to the deal, to create an LLC, whatever needs to be done, right? And I'm not going to pay you for the property right now, but I'm going to pay the $50,000 in the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
Now we own a property that's worth $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we sell it for $200,000. You get your $100,000, I get my $50,000. We split what's different, what's left, right? Now the seller made $125,000 instead of $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
I made 50% on my money, but I didn't have to buy the house. All I had to do was put $50,000 into it. I made a 50 profit on a property. So if it's a win-win situation and you can work it out, sometimes partnering with the seller is the best option.
Yep.
You never want someone to walk away from a deal feeling like they get cheated.
Right.
They won't do business with you again. If you do good business, you'll do more business. They'll refer you to their friends and their family and say, hey, you're in a tough situation. I was in a tough situation. Here's who I went to. She'll help you out.
And I totally agree with that. You got to do business ethically, no matter what.
Well, I have ethics training with my real estate license, my insurance license. Trust me, I know, and I see the mistakes that people make.
Yeah.
I see property managers out there that are not licensed. They have the proper licensing. So that's another reason why, again, on Tuesday, I passed my broker's exam because it was important that everything's in compliance before I open shop.
Yep. No, I 100% agree with you on that. And first off, congratulations on your broker's license. So
30 years in the making. Never thought I needed it until now. Because like I said, I don't do anything on the MLS.
Exactly. But you know what? You could have team members. You could have whatever, anything like that.
Learn how to start delegating.
Yeah. And, obviously, and that actually brings me to a quick, we can continue the discussion offline. That's no problem. But I definitely think that, there might be some areas where you can do some automation, or I can even help you on some of that in either your wholesaling or some of your other businesses. just because I've been doing this with the newer and doing it mainly from home as much as possible. So, so we definitely can get together and work out something like that. No problem. I'm always here to help anybody, you know, so.
Yeah, I need help the younger generation with this technology.
Yeah. So with that, you know, what is it you're doing right now though? So you're doing, you mentioned you're doing the wholesaling, you mentioned you're doing the short-term rentals.
Yeah.
What else are you getting into fix and flips? Or are you getting into,
Yeah.
more buy and holds?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I don't have any long-term rentals right now. I changed them all to short-term rentals, and then I
Okay.
downsized from that after my husband passed away about 2.5 years ago. So
Sorry to hear
I
that.
had to regroup and downsize. Thank you. But right now, what I do is real estate's always been my bread and butter,
Yep.
right? But it's not what I've done the
Yep.
longest, but about 4 years before I got into real estate, I started a legal service, and I've worked for over 200 attorneys in the Metro Detroit area.
Okay.
I had 8 employees. I was 19 years old. I had 8 employees under me. But I was doing a lot of court filings and getting orders signed by judges and things. That's changed because a lot of it's done electronically now, but I still
Yep.
serve papers. I'm a process server. And can tell you tons of stories about that. But anyway, so I do that with my son now. And yeah, so I'm a real estate investor. I do a lot of wholesaling. Like for example, anything in Detroit that comes my way, I'll wholesale that. I'm not going to
Yep.
hold anything. But out here, I'm in the Ann Arbor area, so out this way, I'll look into holding. Flipping is definitely always an option.
Yep.
Right now, the price is fluctuating. I do have my contractor that I know and trust, so that's an obstacle for a lot of people. Contractors are the biggest obstacle when it comes to flipping. But I have my life insurance broker's license. I'm a life insurance broker. Been doing that for a couple years. Actually got my license after my husband passed away. So, but I am, side note, I'm looking into the infinite banking concept, which actually is a very nice marriage between my real estate license and my life insurance license.
Yes.
Because, and it's fabulous, but I never teach anything that I don't know or I've actually done.
Yep.
So I'm learning about this because I want to have the most accurate information and be able to do it properly. But that is very, very intriguing to me, especially for real estate investors. Be your own bank, right?
Yep.
Be your own banker. There's a book that I'm actually reading right now. But I do one-on-one mentorships, coaching. I can do a group setting. I've got an Airbnb class coming up later this month with a broker in Wyandotte. I've got some ebooks and things like that, just trying to help people. But I do a lot of wholesaling. I mean, as far as what I've done and what I teach, lease options, land contracts, subject to, obviously short-term rentals. I actually love being a host. It is different, but I spoil my guests like crazy. And I don't get anything less than 5-star reviews. But like I said, I'll partner with people. I do have a lot of people that say, I've got the funds, I've got the means, I just don't have the knowledge or the experience. I don't want to make the mistakes.
Yep.
We can partner together and, split the proceeds or whatever. I'm open to that. I've always been open to that. But my suggestion to people, especially if they're getting started, is to learn everything that you can learn. You don't want to come into this business ignorant or not knowing. As well as I know, you've seen it can be vicious. It can be vicious when it's like there's some sharks out there that if they get a sense that you don't know what you're doing and you're out there pretending like you do, they'll eat you alive. I mean, I see it, and it's a very male dominant industry. I'm
Yeah.
speaking from a female at this point, very male dominant industry, and I have no problem getting in a pissing contest with anybody. Because chances are I've been doing it longer than them, and I know more
Yeah.
than them. But I'm always good up for a good challenge. Another thing too that people have to understand is when you're putting in offers and you're negotiating with someone, always ask. The answer to every question that you don't ask is always no.
Yes.
And a good example of that is back in the day when we were buying we were buying 4 or 5. Getting accepted offers 4 or 5 properties a month.
Okay.
We were wholesaling and we were cherry picking the ones that we wanted to keep as rentals and so forth. But there was one property that we were negotiating on, and it was a nice brick ranch. It was an Inkster, and it was a beautiful octagon picnic table in the backyard. We like the picnic table. So we actually put in the offer that they left the picnic table as part of the sale, right? And they were, oh man, we can't leave the picnic table. That was a wedding gift from so and so, but we can let you keep the dog. I was like, no, we don't want the dog. We don't have any use for this dog,
Right.
But the answer was no. But what I'm saying is that you never know. We've put offers on houses that had cars in the garage, or beat down Mercedes. We're like, we want that Mercedes and included in the sale. But you never know what you're going to get unless you ask. So always ask. Yep. And I had heard there's a saying that said, if you're not embarrassed by your offer, it wasn't low enough.
You know what? I've heard that so many times. Yes. It is, but it's true. Yeah. Because if they immediately say yes, you're like, okay,
there's some motivation there.
There's either motivation or no, basically you're not doing your numbers right.
But when we were buying with a hard money lender, when I was dealing with the sellers, I would basically tell them, look, based on the financing that we can get, because we can't get traditional financing because of the condition. Okay. Yes. We both know this place is a dump, right? There's no denying that.
Yep.
Right. So based on the financing that we're able to get for this place, we have to be below this number. I'm not trying to lowball you. I'm not trying to play games. This is the numbers. This is what we're dealing with. So we can't come higher. Our hands are tied. We can't. And so when we would explain that to the seller, they would understand and not make it look like we're just trying to take advantage of them. We explain that this is our financing options.
Right. So no, 100% agree with you on that. And I really think that is super, super helpful tips, because the thing is that we're not going after these perfect houses that are brand new builds or just 5 years old and they don't need a ton of work. We're going after these dumps that need a ton of work.
Right.
Well,
that's the motivation to get a discount.
If you don't have that motivation, then what's the point?
Right. You're not going to get a house that needs no work in perfect condition unless the seller is in a bad situation, themselves.
I always love it when I talk to new buyers and I'm like, okay, well, what is it you want? Oh, we only want to do it in the suburbs, Oakland County. If it's Macomb, then more north, like everybody else. And, oh, by the way, we only want carpet paint remodels. That's it. I'm like, you and everybody else, buddy.
Yeah, to get in line.
I'm like, you and everybody else.
That's what everyone is looking for.
You're gonna have to change some of that criteria real quick, especially if you say you wanted a 70% discount.
Right.
So either you're gonna pay more for it, or you're gonna be waiting a pretty long time. So to do a little bit bigger of a rehab. So now with that going, you said you do mentorships, you have courses, things like that. How did you get into doing all of that?
Well, when we when we went from students to trainers
Yeah,
with Russ Whitney back in the, late 90s, early
that's right.
2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we started mentoring and stuff there, and it was all, I mean, it was all great information, and the students were
yeah.
very, very successful. Yeah, so it's just basically, I mean, and I've stayed up on
So you
top of the
just
law.
so you just continued that on your own
Yeah.
versus with that organization.
Yeah, because
Okay.
just in conversation with people or things like this that say, so I don't have like a big, again, the technology deficiency here, but I don't even think I want to get it to that point, because that's a lot of responsibility
Yep.
of delivering that. But privately, one-on-one, or if somebody says, oh, I got 10 people, or
Yep.
you want to do a class to teach my realtors how to be more investor friendly or something
Yep.
like that, or get a group of 10 people to teach about subject to. I do more smaller settings like that, that I'm more comfortable with.
Got it.
But I can definitely, from my knowledge and experience, and again, I stay up on top of the laws. When the Dodd-Frank Act came into place and things like that, the subject to some laws have changed with that as well. Landlord tenant laws are always changing. So, you got to stay up on, if you're in this business, you got to, the laws and things are always changing, but the concepts kind of stay the same. The theories of how subject to and how lease options and land contracts work, it's
Most
pretty much
definitely.
the same.
Yeah, so that's really good to know, really good to hear as well. And so with that, anybody who has any interest and stuff like that, stay to the end. Well, you'll be able to get our contact info. Also, it is in the description below, where I put all her contact information, and any of the links that she wanted me to put in there, I put them in the description below. So check that out as well. So
I've got some ebooks on my website.
Okay.
One thing that I mentioned is they're not extremely long,
Okay.
because and this probably works against me, but I don't like when I get an ebook or a book that I got, the first 3 chapters is, telling me about their feelings and how they grew up and why they got into real estate. And, I don't mean to be insensitive, but I don't really give a shit. I want to know, give me the meat and potatoes. And so that's my stuff. It just kind of gets right into the
just a quick intro about how you did, you're successful, blah blah blah. Okay, this is how I did it. So
not even the intro. I don't even know.
Okay.
I've been doing this for this long, and here you go. But I mean, so it's kind of like I said, it probably works against me, because that's 3 chapters of fluff, but that's not in there. It just kind of gets down to it. And I always tell everybody that if there's anything that doesn't make sense, or if there's follow-up questions or anything, I'm available. I'm accessible. If you have questions, I'm always happy to answer them. So I'll help anybody as much as I can. So those are there. I've got like 4 or 5 ebooks on my website.
Awesome.
The one-on-one, even if it's just like, if you just want to learn about subject to, or just learn about lease options or sandwich lease options or short-term rentals, Airbnb or anything like that. If I haven't done it, I'm not going to teach it.
Got it.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
So Larry Shepard from Facebook actually asked, can you share more about your mentorship program as far as costs and for one-on-ones?
So that's another thing too, is another pet peeve I have is people just really gouging their prices. So if you want to just do like a general session for like an hour, it's like $99. If you want to learn specifically about lease options, sandwich lease options, or subject to, or land contracts, or just a specific, or wholesaling or something like that, just a specific strategy. I can do a Zoom session. We can usually, split it up, but it takes, a few hours. I can cover everything, give you my contracts and everything. Yeah. That's usually at like $249. So I try to keep my stuff, real affordable.
It's very affordable, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah, most definitely. And by the way, anybody who is asking, as far as one-on-ones, I do one-on-ones for new beginners, for anybody just for advice, things like that. I'm not even charging at the moment. The reason I'm not charging is because I want to be able to record it and use it for content on our channel. So that's the trade-off. I'll do a one-on-one with you. You give me, I use that as content, you know? So next year I'll plan on possibly charging for it, but come to that bridge when it comes to it. So I want to help out as many people as possible. That's my goal. So at least put that out there. But with that being said, so what is it that people from here can help you with going in the future? And how can we help you, the group, as well as what is the future hold for Terry Penny?
well, now that I have my broker's license, I can use that for a few different things. I can open up my own brokerage with agents under me, but that's not the direction I'm going in because I'm not really in, like, again, off market is my comfort zone. But I am going to use my broker's license to start a property management company.
Okay.
So I'm in Washtenaw County. We want to be centrally located around Belleville, maybe,
Okay.
so that helps us with Washtenaw County, Western Wayne County, Monroe County, going north, going south, going east. Probably no farther than Redford, so we won't be managing Detroit.
Okay.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Managed 150 houses, the rehab and rental, and so we're just too far away, right?
Yeah.
But we'll probably go as far west as Jackson,
Okay.
because we already have properties out in Jackson right now.
Okay.
So might as well stay out there. That going. So I'm going to be working on ramping that up. So I'll be open to managing some properties. I've been managing my own properties for over 30 years. My contractor's been in construction for over 30 years. I don't know why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've got that coming up, and I know people are good, honest, and ethical property manager.
Yes.
That's got everything in compliance, and so I'm looking forward to growing that. Other than that, I'm again I've got a lot of things going on. I got a lot of different tied together with real estate, my short-term rentals, my insurance, right, my broker's license. It all ties together. So
Got it.
the only thing that doesn't tie with real estate is my process serving. But I enjoy working with attorneys. It's just mindset. Yeah.
So actually, a side note, I should say had my insurance license.
Did you?
From a long time ago, my life insurance license.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that for a while. And it was crazy because sorry. So I had that for a while, and it's crazy because I did one appointment. I did all the cold calling, did all that, and just realized it wasn't for me. So
was that before COVID?
Yes.
Yeah. So now, not too many appointments in person. The commissions are crazy, but it is a hard sell.
Yep.
So I'm not one to do cold calling or buy leads, and that's just not me. I'm not on the phone 8 hours a day saying, "Hey, you need life insurance."
Right.
That's just not how I'm cut. Some people make a killing doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing some people killing it 20, 30 grand a month. But what I am trying to entwine the life insurance with is, again, the infinite banking concept, where you can get a life insurance policy and then you can pay into it. I'm just going to give you a recap. Again, I'm learning more about it. But you can pay into it, and say you make a profit off of one property from the angle from a real estate investor, right?
Mhm.
Of being your own bank. If you make a profit off of a flip, right? But obviously in this market, especially, you're not going to find your next flip right away. So you deposit that in there and you keep feeding that into into a life insurance policy. Now you can withdraw most of that,
Mhm.
90%, 70, 80%. This is, again, I got to get the details.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is with the insurance, insurance carrier, it's a compound, like a compound interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you're getting paid dividends based on how much is in there. Now you would do a withdrawal from that, and you say you pull $50,000 from it to buy a property or whatever, you're going to fix it up. It doesn't interrupt that building process. What happens is you're pulling from the benefits. So if you die the next day, say you got a $200,000 policy and you pull out 50, you die the next day, your family's just going to get $50,000 less because you've already pulled that out. But you can pull that out and your compounding, your dividends are still going to accumulate as if it's, the 50,000 is still in there.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm learning more about, because you can tap into that for real estate, for a car loan or whatever. And instead of paying that bank 6 or 8 or 10% interest, you pay it to yourself. And there's no one breathing down your neck to say, oh, if you miss a payment, we're going to foreclose on you, because it's your account, it's your money. And there's no application process. There's no appraisal. There's no one saying, no, you can't. So it's powerful. And once I learn how to entwine those together with that and the real estate, and with me having my life insurance license, I can set them up with that, with a plan. And that's a big thing too, is having a plan. Going back to why we got into getting rentals back in the 90s, is the plan was for my husband to quit his job.
Yep.
So if you're just into this, I just need to make money. No, you need to have a plan. What is your goal?
Yeah.
Right. Where are you? Now your goals are going to change, right? Your timeline might change, but you got to have something that you're working towards, or else you're just hustling. Right. You got to know what you're hustling for.
Yeah. So also, that it's really cool. But I want to learn more about the infinite banking, especially because I have a background, because I did that life insurance stuff. So I know about it. And
I'll let you know once I get there. Again, that's something I'm studying now, but it's intriguing to me. I like it.
Yeah. So with that, how can people get a hold of you to talk about all this? And I know we usually go for about an hour and a half. I'm going to have to cut this a little short. We're at about an hour and 12 minutes right now. But how can people get a hold of you to talk about any of this stuff that you brought up, or anything like that?
So I've got I've got a couple of different websites. My main one is terrypenny.com, TerryPenny.com.
Yep.
My email is moneypenny2k@gmail.com, because I'm Mrs. Moneypenny.
Yeah.
And that's what I go on. That's my short-term rentals. My profile says Mrs. Moneypenny.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Moneypenny likes to spoil her guests with wine and chocolates and all kinds of snacks.
Yeah.
So anyways, my number is 734-392-4880.
Awesome. One more time for people who are a little bit slower like me.
My phone number is 734-392-4880. And
Awesome.
moneypenny2k@gmail.com.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And anybody who has any questions, by all means, reach out to her, talk with her. If you want to do the entrepreneurship, if you want to do the mentorship with her, please reach out. I think, grabbing from her experience is 100%. That's why you do a mentorship. So if you're just starting out and looking to do a couple of just one-on-ones, reach out to her as well. You can also reach out to me as well. My number's right here at the bottom, right there, and kind of go from there. All right.
And then I do have a lot of wholesale deals. I think I just added 30
Yes.
rentals
Oh
today.
my God, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That is crazy.
they might be priced a little high. I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting comments. Thank you for your comments.
All offers
I mean,
are accepted, right?
I know, but you can only do so much with the seller, right? I mean, I try to maneuver as much as I can. But my website for my real estate investing, if you guys want to take a look at any deals I have, I've got some commercial properties, some residential properties, rentals, vacant lots, so forth. It's corleonerealestate.com/deal. So it's CORLEON realestate.com/deals. If you do /deals, it'll get you right into the page with the deals.
Got it.
And Corleone, let me just explain that. So there's no E at the end. So it's Corleone. So it's a combination. I have 4 boys, Christian, Jordan, Jalen, Zion. So the Corleone is a combination of their names. So that's why there's no E at the end. I'm half Sicilian. So it just kind of flowed. I had to run with it. And then I used to help run the Ann Arbor Real Estate Investors Club. Brian Bundenson has it. But he actually came up with my tagline: "We'll make you an offer you can't refuse." So I had to run with that. So anyways,
why not, right?
Take a look at my site and take a look at my deals that I have, and let me know if there's anything that catches your eye.
All right. That's awesome. Also, I know you post them in the groups as well, and go from there. But by all means, reach out to her. She's a great person. I see her at the meetups all the time, and I always usually pick her brain about something. So
my Facebook group is my Facebook group is Money Pennies Real Estate Playground.
yes.
So if you guys want to join that, I try to get in some content and just some fun stuff, not always deals, but I like the tiny houses concept. So I post things like that, or, just some fun stuff about real estate. So I know I have a whole lot of members. I don't have as many members as you, but
that's okay though.
on it.
You're working on it. So I put a lot of work into the Facebook group, which is
I know
good.
you do. Yeah.
So we just hit almost 3,600 members right now.
Wow.
So congratulations to everybody who's watching on there. So thank you. And I really do, sorry, I wasn't looking at the comments, but there was a question on how we get a hold of the wholesale deals, which we just explained.
Yeah.
So go in there and then, said, really enjoy the content and, thank you guys. So really appreciate that. I don't know who, I usually have it up over here, but I was answering a text message. So, but, I'm happy to have you on. Anybody else who wants to learn more, get a hold of her. She's a great person, great personality, very ethical. I
always answer my phone, so don't be afraid to call.
That's awesome. I really do appreciate it. All right, Terry, if I'm going to just bring you down to the side and then, just hold on once we stop real quick. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. Have a good day. And
thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That is it for today. Please join us in 2 weeks from this past Monday. 1 week. So 2 weeks from this past Monday, every other week, we're going to have another person on here. Don't know who yet. I have a few ideas, and I will keep a lookout for the advertisements. All right. Thank you. Have a good day, and let's all do deals together.